proclamations and stuff to get an audience. All right, good evening. The time is 7:30, and I'll now call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on tonight's agenda is acceptance of the agenda. I do have one change this evening. After item 7, which is our regular monthly budget report, I would like to add a new item 8, and this is a resolution for a municipal brownfield grant application. And then item 8, which is signage for Riverfront access, will become item 9, and then so on down the agenda. And with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So
I make a
moved.
motion.
Okay, made by John, seconded by Sean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the regular Board of Selectmen meeting on August 3rd. Has everyone been able to review those minutes? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any errors, changes, or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of the minutes from August 17th, 2022.
I'll make a motion we accept August 17th minutes.
All right,
I'll second that.
thank you, Ralph. Any errors, changes, or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right. Under communications and correspondence this evening, we just have one, but it's an important one, and we have some people here this evening. I might just go up to the podium because I have some certificates or acclamations. So this is a long time coming. I know that this event happened on May 22nd, 2022, out on Great Hill Lake, and there was a swimmer that went into distress, and 4 different individuals all came to this person's aid in different ways, offering help and ultimately saving this person's life. And so I wanted to, first I'll read this proclamation that we have here today, and then I'll call everyone up. And then I don't know if you want me to use your name or not, but, okay. So anyway, I'm gonna read this. This is a civilian accolade for bravery. And may it be known that this certificate is presented by the Portland Board of Selectmen to recognize Joseph Rito Jr., and I'll just read everyone, Christopher Pollock, Kelsey McGough, and Noah Galicia, for demonstrating exceptional bravery without regard for personal safety to save the life of another in imminent danger. On May 22nd, 2022, Joe, Noah, Kelsey, and Chris assisted a distressed swimmer at Great Hill Pond, thus preventing a drowning. We are grateful for good Samaritans like yourselves who act heroically and decisively in times of need. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the townspeople of Portland, we do hereby extend respect and recognition to the 4 of you, presented on this 7th day of September in the year 2022, presented by Ryan J. Curley, First Selectman, Town of Portland, Board of Selectmen, John H. Dillon, Michael S. Hernandez, Robert W. Hetrick Jr., Sean P. Manning, Michael A. Pelton, Ralph R. Zampano. And I do want to say that I called all of the rescuers, and I wanted to find out kind of what happened in their own words. And what was so special about this group was each one of them said, "Oh, I didn't do it. It was the other guy. They, somebody went on the boat, somebody swam out, and nobody really wanted to say, hey, nobody really wanted the recognition, but you all, saved someone's life." And so that is incredible. So would you all come up and get your awards? And Merrick, do you want to come up too? And I don't know if you want to say anything. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Hey, Ryan. Ryan, can you do them separately so we can get you in the pictures?
Okay, so Joe, right here. There you go. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kelsey, you're the swimmer, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, Chris. Thank you. All right. No, here you are. Thank you. Thank you so much. You want to come on?
Thank you guys again. And, I just wanna say, good evening, everybody. I just wanna say thank you for all these people here. Also say for, I'm thankful also for fire ambulance people who came. But these guys, I was so fortunate that they rescued me. So the fire ambulance people, they had, I can say, my body ready, because I know it from the report that you get from the hospital, detailed report. You can read it online, what was going on, what was happening. I don't remember anything. I don't remember what happened. I just remember walking into the water. It was 93 outside. Water was still on the chilly side because obviously we had kind of cooler spring. I just remember walking up to my knees. The water was nice, clean, and I don't remember swimming across the lake. I don't remember coming back. Joe actually told me when I was discharged from hospital, and a couple of days after when I talked to him, that I swam across Fall Lake. No memory, nothing I remember. In the hospital they told me that memory could actually roll back even more. So everything was, the brain was flooded, heart was, everything was like basically agonal, like that's what the report's saying, that's what the doctor says. So I was more than lucky to have we always call it second chance, but it's really second chance, and it's really something, And I'm long distance swimmer. I swim long distances, long time. So it's not like, you're losing, like you feel, you're not gonna make it, but I may try. You don't do it with the water. It just came out of nowhere. Looks like water was kind of chilly, and it's not like you got any chills or something. Just your body just shut down immediately. And I just, like Joe said, I just screamed for help like 3 times. I was lucky you guys were by the lake, he was by the house, and that's the whole story. That could end, that was 100% chance to end, basically I would die, no question about it. I was just so lucky that that couple of people were around, and because over there is basically quiet at that time, Sunday around noon, before noon, nobody's there. So yeah, so that's what I can say. So I thank you again, everybody, including these folks, but also people from the fire department. Somebody will say, "Oh, it's their job." Yeah, we all have jobs, but I really thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the fire department here that wants to say it. Yeah. I'll let Chief Shea take it from here, all right?
So we'll keep it brief because I can go into a whole sermon on how important it is to not only care for your fellow citizens, but be there, certainly in their dire need. And this is a perfect example of exactly how that happened. We just happened to be down in New Haven, the majority of our department training that day, some of the mandatory training that we need to do, and we talked about all day long how hot it was for such an early time in the season. And that's exactly, what happens. The air is warm and the water is cold, and it doesn't really matter, what the circumstances are and how strong of a swimmer you are. It happens to everybody. But we're very grateful that you took that initiative when you saw that person in distress. Those things assist us in doing our job. You got Mike to the shore as we were arriving, so it just shows how critical that short period of time is. It could be 4 to 7 minutes, and it might seem like a half hour. And we've talked to Joe about that, and that time of response was a lot shorter than it probably seemed. Like you were in the water, and that you were trying to rescue Mike and get him on the boat, which was just a huge benefit to think about that. I mean, we're very lucky. Joe is one of ours. He's been a member of our department for many, many years. Most recently just retired, but he's still part of the group. And, that means an awful lot to us to have him there to help, get that in motion as well, knowing that he's been trained and knew what to do. So we couldn't be more proud. So with that said, we have some things for you from our department, which is a token of our gratitude for what you've done. And it's basically in recognition for your courageous and swift action that resulted in the rescue of a drowning victim at Great Hill Lake. Including your unselfish act, which put you in harm's way. We forget about that. We forget about the individuals that went into the water that was dangerous at the time due to temperature. And it really is a true example of your dedication to others in need. It really shows that it just doesn't matter. So the Portland Fire Department is honored to present you with the Life-Saving Award for your actions tonight. Each and every one of you will get a token of our gratitude for a Life-Saving Award presented to each and every one of you, which states clearly on May 25th, 2022 on Great Hill Lake. So thank you so much for what you've done. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you very much.
And you all are welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but don't feel obligated. Yeah. We do like a crowd, though. Good to see you. Appreciate it.
And there goes our crowd. There goes the crowd.
There goes the room, huh? Yeah, pretty much. All right. I'll give it a second to
Swam across that lake many times as a kid, and you don't realize just that 1 second what it takes.
Especially with the water temperatures.
Yeah.
Not even a stray hanging back. All gone.
Sharon stuck around.
All right, so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak under public comment?
Nothing in the chat.
Nothing in the chat? Okay. I know Tom Robinson, or we'll move on to item 7, which is our monthly budget report. I do know our finance director is here. Is he in the hallway?
You might have stepped out.
Okay, we'll give it a minute. Yeah, Rick, if you wouldn't mind seeing if he's out there. Yeah, we can. You know what, Rick? Do you wanna? Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Well, actually, next technically is our is that resolution. So why don't we do that? Okay. So we've been working with Ty and Bond on the remediation of 248, 222, and 230 Brownstone Avenue. Now, 248 is scheduled to start the remediation process next week, but if you'll remember, there are still things that need to be done even after this remediation. And there's also further grants through DECD that have become available. So I would like to apply for those grants so that we can continue the remediation and we can continue getting these properties cleaned up and back, generating revenue for the town of Portland in one way or another. And so with that, one of the requirements for this grant that's due on September 15th is to have town council, board of selectmen approval and support for that. So this resolution is basically saying that should the town of Portland get awarded the grant, we will accept the grant because we want to clean up the brownfields. So if someone would like to move and read the resolution, it should be a quick and easy one.
I'll do it. Resolution, Board of Selectmen, Town of Portland, Connecticut, September 7th, 2022. 2022 Municipal Brownfield Assessment and Remediation Grant Program, Round 16, Brownstone Quarry Project, 222, 230, and 248 Brownstone Ave. Be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby authorizes Ryan J. Curley, First Selectman of the Town of Portland, to execute and deliver in the name of and on behalf of the town any and all documents associated with an application and contract with the State Department of Economic and Community Development for a 2022 Municipal Brownfield Assessment and Remediation Grant, Round 16, as it pertains to the Brownstone Quarry Project for 222, 230, and 248 Brownstone Avenue in the amount of approximately $1.5 million up to $2 million.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, Ryan. So this is due on September 15th, you said?
The application.
Application.
Yep.
And then when would we know if we have received it?
If we've gotten the grant?
Correct.
I don't have that in front of me, but normally it's
3 months, 6 months?
probably by Christmas, I would say. It's normally, I would say 3 months to go through that, yeah.
Now, I know there's an RFQ out on this property. Will we suspend that until we find out about this? Because it seems like it could interfere if...
No, we wouldn't suspend that, the RFP.
RFP, sorry, yeah.
But no, that wouldn't, if anything, we would work with that, but I don't see that as interfering.
Are you going to extend that at all, or is it gonna, that's up
It's going
this month,
in
right?
on, September 13th.
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. So That is separate from this. That RFP was a requirement for the topper grant that we got from DECD on the previous round. And so we are looking for that public-private partnership, that restaurant, hopefully something to that effect for that 248 Brownstone Avenue site. But we still have a ways to go with remediation. And even if we do have, say, a restaurant that wants to come in or so, there is still work to be done on that site that we would have to work together on that to get that done, but we would at least have the funding to do that.
Okay. I just didn't know if it interfered with one or the other,
It shouldn't
but.
interfere. We have to do it no matter what.
Yep.
But, yeah, unfortunately, the 1.125 million that we had already received from DECD, as you know, didn't cover all of the remediation. So this is, from what Ty and Bond has told us, we need approximately $1.5 to $2 million to complete everything with 222, 230, and 248. So if we are awarded this grant from DECD, we will have enough funds to complete this project.
All right, thank you.
Do we call for the question? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you all. Next up, we're going to move back to our monthly budget report. Our finance director, Tom Robinson, is with us this evening. Thank you, Tom, for coming. And I believe in your packets, you all should have a, did you get a budget report? Or, Yeah, he's got it.
Lights on.
One time no see. I know I left mine, so.
Thanks, sir.
We have the report here. This is the report up through August 31st with some items still left to be posted for August, but wanted to get the report out to you. We started here in the general fund. If you look at the account ending with 0010, the property tax current, you can see the collections have been quite strong through July and August. That's a very positive thing. Still waiting on various funding from the states, and that comes in as scheduled. We go to 00303, that's property rental. To date in this report has in it the first quarter from Oak Hill and some Middletown stage company that utilized one of our schools. That's the receipts that we had at this point in time. And on 00311, workers' comp, that is showing revenues are coming in from one employee on the town side that was out on workers' comp. That individual is, we're happy to say, is back to work. So that's a positive thing. 00312, conveyance tax, very positive conveyance tax amounts coming in for the first couple months here. Definitely there was a large conveyance tax for the 47 Main Street property. If you go to this next page, it's 00354. That is our KERMA membership equity distribution for the year. So that we budgeted a 20,000 estimate on that, and it came in at 38,944. So that's it's an amount that KERMA will distribute if they have surplus earnings that they give back to their member distribution. Turning over to the expenditures. So as we go through the report through the year, gas and diesel, as you know, the prices are still continue to be higher. We probably will struggle with that throughout the year. Ryan and I are watching that and to see if there is a possible drop closer to our budget numbers. We budgeted somewhere between like the $2.50 to $3 a gallon, and numbers have been over that, definitely on diesel, quite substantially for the first 2 months, and so we're keeping an eye on that. If you go to the probate court, right there on the first page, we did get our first invoice from them, and looking through that, there was they had in our budget we had put in a number that was an estimate of the of what their budget was, and they adopted a final budget of $13,908. So by the end of the year, we'll have an overage there of $188. On page 6, looking at the Public Works Director Buzzard in the hazardous waste area. As you can see, there is already been $6,000 expended in that line item. The hazardous waste, the COG has come up with a different budgeting strategy than they had in the past. So that resulted in around a $2,000 increase that we did not see when we were putting the budget together, as well as there was a change in some of the disposals and how they're doing the disposals, and the cost is just a higher cost. And you see that with anything with transportation and disposals involved. Costs are coming in higher than we anticipated. So we'll watch that. I mean, it all depends on we still have a nice amount of money left in the budget, but it'll depend on how many of the days are continued there and how much participation in each of the days that they have, where they have these, how much town participation is there and how much we get allocated. So those are the, so far within the 2 months, those are some of the areas that I just wanted to touch upon. For us, we have just recently had our new Public Works director start, and so there'll be, I'm sure, some more Public Works activities and projects coming through, and they have many of the budgets there, so I'm sure that will be picking back up again.
Do you guys want to look through, see if you have any questions, or you guys good?
I just have one question, Tom.
Sure.
How is, and I know it's obviously not complete, but how has the revenue been from the quarry? Has it been what we expected? Has it been?
Today we had, through this report, we had no revenues reported, but I did note a check come in, I think it was just the other day, and it looked like it was around $131,000 for July. So that would be, it's definitely below the pre-pandemic levels. It's slightly higher than last year, but it was, around a $40,000 decrease from the pre-pandemic levels.
So, I can actually speak to this too, because I was at the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce breakfast this morning, and Sean Hayes was there, and he told me that our check would be a little smaller because the reason for that, despite having a wonderful summer with weather-wise, where they were at capacity every day, they have had the Brownstone Exploration Discovery Park, like so many other businesses in the state, have had a really hard time getting employees. And because of that, the number of employees limited the number of people that could attend the park this summer.
Gotcha.
So what Sean said was that in the past, they would have a capacity of the day of 2,200 people, and with their staff this summer, they were limited to only 300, which is, a large drop. So the good news is
2,200 to 300?
The good news is that they sold out most days, but at the same time, they are really looking for help as far as employment goes for next year. So, we're gonna have to maybe, try to, advertise.
Do they employ, I would assume, a lot of our teenagers?
They do.
Have they thought of doing like a small job fair at the high schools?
They did. They had a job fair, and one student showed up
Really?
at the last one. Is what they, they had it wasn't at the school, but they did do a job fair.
Yeah.
So it's not a unique problem to this business, but it's just something. It's unfortunate because you would expect coming out of a pandemic when people want to have fun, and unfortunately they're just limited. They had to turn a lot of people away because of capacity. So.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. The next item on tonight's agenda, this is discussion on Zoom and online meetings. This is something that several of the selectmen have asked for a discussion on as far as, what the costs are. Obviously, what's that?
Yeah, I think
Oh, yeah.
you skipped, you jumped.
I'm sorry.
First you were gonna let him go early, now you're making him feel late.
Do you miss it, Rick? We're just trying to get you to stay for the whole meeting. Come on up. So, number 8 is signage for the Riverfront access area on Airline Avenue.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I also I made some copies of a couple of proposals. That was actually proposal 2. One, these I'll talk about. One has an actual drone shot for Jim Tripp took of the site, and the other pictures on the sign are just off the internet that the sign people pulled out and help tell the story about park and we hope it to become. So first off, let me just start by this. As you know, we've been meeting as a committee, River Access Committee. We've had a couple of meetings so far. And one of the things we're trying to do is get the word out about this potential park. We talked about putting up a sign down on Airline Avenue at the old ball field saying this is the future site of this river access park. Hartford Sign and Design is a company that I've done business with for a long time, and the owner lives in Portland, and he's willing to donate this sign. So he's going to make it. I don't know if he'll deliver it or I'll go pick it up. We might have to put it in ourselves, but it's basically just, a couple of holes in the ground and maybe a little concrete on. I'll find out from him what needs to be done. So our committee has approved, the basic layout of the sign. We just wanted to present it to you folks to get any feedback, and what you might like or not like. The other thing we're trying to link it, and I probably have to work with Dave on this, but we wanted to link it to the town website so that people could go and scan the QR code and get any information that, you know, we might be putting out there as things start to progress with the park. Where you see the donations accepted, as you know, we were awarded a grant. We actually got a small grant from Rockfall Foundation last year, and then we're going to get soon, I guess, a $300,000 grant from the state. But in my mind, it's going to take more than that over the years to get this, you know, get a road built in there, get a fence up, you know, get picnic tables, hopefully at some point build some sort of little boat ramp or launch ramp. So we were fortunate to, Brownstone Quorum embraced us, and we set up a bank account under their tax ID. So if the public wants to make a donation, they can through the Brownstone Quorum. And my thought was that, you know, that might give us a little bit of an operating kitty. We've had one donation so far. Well, one that I know of. This would maybe eliminate the need to have to get 3 quotes for, you know, somebody to come in with and, you know, maybe cut down some trees or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's what that's all about there. So, I guess, you know, I don't know if there's any questions.
Can he just show the other one? Do you have a bigger slide of the other one?
By the way, Dave?
Yeah.
He said he wants to see the other one.
The other one.
Yeah. I was talking with Linda at dinner before I came down, and she actually likes the one that has the couple out looking at on the water, because she said, you know, you want to convey that it's more than just putting a boat in the water. I mean, this may end up being sort of a passive park before we actually get approval to launch kayaks, canoes, boats in the water. The other thing on while you're looking at that is we're going to, I've been talking with Ryan about this, we have to apply for a national data and diversity study with DEEP. So this is what nixed the Wollongong Meadows. But they told us to go south on the river, so we did. So
well,
we're
what you got right across the river from you.
Yeah.
Should make it pretty easy.
So hopefully, plus there's two marinas on either side of us, so they've already kind of messed up the environment. So we're going to be submitting that. I suspect that they may come back and say we have to do something about mussels. But I'm hoping that's it. So that's the other thing that's been going on. Even a third thing, Lou Pear and I paddled the entire waterfront last week with a representative from the Connecticut River Conservancy. We went back and forth a couple times between Meriden and Riverside. And there's a ton of hydrilla clogging, like it's almost, you know, our entire town property
The
coastline.
River is clogged with it.
Pardon?
The Mattabesset River is clogged.
Yeah, and if you go upriver, Keeney Cove, and it's just
terrible.
a mess. I think they're going to the state's going to do a remediation or attempt one in Keeney Cove, but that could be something we have to deal with down the road a little bit because it's hard to put a boat through it. I mean, these weeds just get tangled up in a prop or in your paddles. I was surprised how much was there this year as opposed to last year. And we're going to have a meeting. We're going to walk it, I guess, I don't know, the end of this month. Lou's been in touch with Jim Sipperly, and we're gonna walk it with him, and I believe Ryan's gonna have Jacobson at some point survey it or tag it. Yeah, so things are percolating, but it's gonna be a process, you know.
Was there ever anything on the property, any buildings, foundations, anything?
There's some homeless people there, but no, there's a pretty nice encampment with a homeless person. But no, I think, and Lou knows a little more about the history of this, I believe it was part of it was pasture land back years ago, like, 100 years ago. And if you walk through there, some of it's like high and dry, and there's vegetation growing, but you could tell it was like a meadow. And then as you get closer to the river, there's large trees. It's called a floodplain forest. And then there are some wetlands, some soggy areas mixed in. And then of course, as you get right, maybe the last 50 feet or 100 feet, it's almost tidal. Like you can see where in high water times, the water is lapped up quite a bit. But overall, it's nice land. I mean, there's definitely some usable acreage in there. And the river itself, as opposed to north of here, it's like a mud flat. It's very silty. I mean, it's not like muck. I mean, you can, in low tide on a warm day, you can walk on it and you sink in a little, but you don't sink in up to your ankles. So it's ideal for wading in, other than this hydrilla that's growing. But theoretically, somebody could put on, if they were fishermen, they could put on their fishing boots and wade out there a ways. And it's in a no-wake zone, and the main current is on the Middletown side. So there's some real pluses for potential water, actual water access there. Any other questions?
The only question I have is looking at what you had up on the screen, Rick.
Yep.
The QR code was showing on the sign as green. Will it still read that, or does the QR code need to be black? I wasn't sure.
That's a Dave question, I think.
I'm sorry?
The QR code on the proposed sign is in the green color, like the lettering.
Yeah.
Will a QR code read when you're in a color, or does it need to be black?
It needs to be black.
Okay. Needs to be black.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I knew that, but I've heard that somewhere.
So what I'd like to hear from you, how do you feel about an actual picture of the land versus pictures just creating a theme?
I like the pictures of the land because it gives people a better aspect of how big it is, what could be
Developed.
and yeah.
Okay.
They can't see the whole thing from the streets.
Right, you can't. And
I agree with that, but I think I would like to swap out the one you have on the right, because we have a boat here, and put the couple in there with the access, the picture of the land.
yeah, I was
just
actually
swap it
thinking
the
that.
other way.
But-
I would leave the kayaks and flop.
I think I'd leave the kayaks,
Yeah.
but
Right.
take the fishing boat out. Because if kayaks are in the water,
Right.
naturally you're going to assume a boat can be in the water, but
And
show
that-
the couple.
And
Yeah.
that's a question I have too, Rick. This is looking at primarily as a hand launch type of a thing, right? Kayaks, there's not an anticipation. I want to make sure that you make it clear in the signage and everything from the beginning that this isn't going to be one of those places where everybody's figuring they found another place to launch their 30-foot trailered boat. You know?
I don't think we're there yet, though.
Right
No, but
now,
but the signage, depending on how you play it, I think you
Yeah.
need to plant the seed now, if that's what it's supposed to be, you know?
I think the initial vision is some sort of passive park, then non-motorized boat launch, there are some on our committee that are power boaters and down the road would like to see a public boat launch. I don't think we should play it that way yet with the state, myself, and that's not my major goal here. So I'm kind of with you. I don't really want to promote that yet. I mean, that could happen 10 years from now, maybe.
I mean, I kayak like you do.
Yeah.
And we were just on vacation. We were kayaking down to the Thimble Islands. And we went to the state boat launch that's right there near the islands. And there's a bunch of kayakers there, but they're all relegated to parking on the street and carrying their kayaks in because all the boat trailers have the whole parking lot packed up. And I look at this as really as an opportunity for a place that kayakers can call a kayak launch.
Yeah.
Once it makes that switch, that takes up all the room. So.
Well, and the other thing is, the main parking, I mean, we have room up top where the ball field is to build quite a bit of parking. The current thinking is, there's not, well, we'll see what Jim Sipperly has to say, but I don't think we can build a big parking lot down near the river. That's floodplain. I'm hoping that we can get a turnaround down there, maybe a half a dozen cars, or at least a drop-off zone, where you drive, because you don't want to carry your kayak or boat from, the ball field all the way down. Yeah. But anyway, I agree with you on that. If we were to do a full-fledged boat launch, I mean, we'd have to carve up the land more, and
well, because I'm looking at the proposed sign, I envision when you have the picture of predominantly of kayaks on there, that will probably be your next question. Is this going to be a motorboat launch as well? So the question, I'm sure the question is going to come up sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well,
the goal has been just access to the river.
Right.
I mean, it's been going on, right, for forever. We just want to get to the river. I think that's the general consensus. But I do think if we are going to do an application, my thought is we might as well see what we can get. I'd rather know now from deep. They may tell us that the only thing we're able to do here is a small kayak launch. But I do think it would be helpful to know now before, because people are asking me. I've had many kayakers, motorboat, enthusiasts. People ask. Everybody wants to know, but the real answer is we're going to do what deep allows us to do.
Correct.
I mean, that's ultimately the case.
It's interesting though, Ryan, that when we had deep down to look at the Wongunk Meadows before we did the NDDA study, we had a fella from the boating division down, a guy named Mike Payton. You might remember Ralph, and I think we may have talked about it at some of our board meetings. Susan was there, I was there, Lou Pear. Anyway, this guy wanted a full-blown paved boat launch with handicap parking and up at the Meadows. And we're there, wow, okay, well, where are we going to get the money? And he's there, I think we can get a grant for that. So then this was in like July of that year. Then we fill out this NDDB application. We send it to the infamous Dawn McKay. And in February, no, it was October, we get back like a list of 9 or 10 endangered species. And we finally had a Zoom conference with her. And she basically said, I really don't want a boat launch up there. I don't want river access up there. And like we're saying, well, this other guy from your department was all over it. He was in favor of it. So we took her and we said, well, where can we go? And that's how we ended up downriver. We decided we weren't going to fight City Hall.
But didn't we run into behind Brownstone Park some issues there when they were filling in? We were going to put the road in. I'm talking 15 years.
That was because you were crossing the swampland, I believe.
Yeah, that was, I think when Cypherman might have been public,
Yeah,
or
behind the baseball field, we're gonna go down. to the-
Yeah, I have
Because
a
we were
map
getting
showing
grants from
that.
NU to do that, and, yeah.
There's plans, I think it was from like 1998 or something. But that was gonna be a long road, that was gonna be costly, and it was gonna go over wetlands.
Right.
And, I don't know exactly what nixed that, if it was the wetlands or the cost.
I think kind of a
But-
combination, as I recall.
Yeah, right. So we're kind of in that general area, but we're a little bit north of there, I believe. We want to cut in pretty close to the Meriden Boat Club property line. I think the land's a little better there, up that way.
Because it came around to kind of hook.
It hooked and it went down toward Riverside, I believe, the plan you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I actually have it with me in my folder, but, yeah. So that was looked at over 20 years ago. And, you know, we couldn't pull it off then, of course, and we got into other projects, we got into the quarries and stuff, so, but I think, personally, I think Portland needs this. I mean, it'd be good for the town, not that we absolutely need it, but it's, you know, we got a lot of good things going for us, and with all this riverfront, you know, why not promote it? And, you know, I envision connectivity, so this riverfront park would be connected with the water park and with the land we're developing on Brownstone Avenue and our current river park.
Right.
This one, I think maybe we leave a little more passive, you know, some picnic tables and stuff, but some hiking trails, walking trails, that sort of thing. But when you look back at what evolved from the park that we have now, I mean, that was just a jungle there like 20 years ago. So good things can happen with, you know, with some effort, and there's a good spirit of volunteerism. You know, we've had a lot of people stepping up. I mean, they're chomping at the bit to go down there and start clearing a path, and then they're like, well, we gotta mark it, and we gotta know exactly where we're going, you know. So, yeah, I didn't think to ask the guy why he put 3 shots instead of 4 or 3 instead of 2, but I think if the sign's 6 feet across, so a 2-foot picture, I should say, you know, that's going to be pretty prevalent, I think. And I think if we go with 3, what a couple of you said, we'll put the couple back in with the passive view of the water, and we'll keep an actual. This, to me, was the best drone shot. I don't know if you got them all, Ryan.
I did, yeah. No, I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, this showed the overall and of the whole site. So,
We don't need a vote on that. We just.
I don't think so, but you're the boss.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just want general consensus. You guys are in favor of a sign there?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think, and the most it may cost us is some time with Public Works.
Mhm.
But I might be able to get him to put it in too. I'm not, we haven't discussed that yet, but I know he's gonna actually
It shouldn't
build
be
the
too
sign.
hard to put up the sign.
No, and I didn't wanna kick a gift horse, sort of.
Not yet.
But he's a good, not yet. He's a good guy though, and I figure when it comes time for like, when it's done and we need a real, a permanent sign, well, hopefully we can get something out of him, so. All right, nice seeing everybody.
Rick.
Thanks,
Thanks
Rick.
for being on this side.
Stay for the rest of the meeting.
Well, thank you for
I
that.
want you to feel it's like old times.
Yeah. okay.
He's a hard sell, Rick.
Next time, we're putting you last on the agenda.
Yeah, I had a feeling, I was looking at this, I'm like, boy, well, not quite last, get me in the middle of the pack. All right.
Take care,
See
Rick.
ya.
Thank
See you later, Rick.
Thank you. All right. So, moving on, item 10 on the agenda is the discussion. I passed out in your packets, you have some information on the cost of how much Board of Selectmen meetings cost overall to run, with 1 hour of a meeting, 2 hours of a meeting, 3 hours. And then you have with Zoom, with what we're doing now, which is Zoom and also YouTube Live. And then also a comparison to, this is what we were pre-pandemic, pre-Zoom, this is when I think we just were recording and then uploading meetings the following day. So nothing was live, you couldn't stream it. You know, it is 2022, I don't see how personally we can not stream meetings these days, but, you know, I wanted to give you all the costs and open it up for discussion, let you guys talk about it, and see what you think.
So, I know we've talked about this, a couple of us. I think one of the things about the pandemic and the number of people that we had watching these meetings was great. I think it got more people involved in it, so I think we all want to enhance that and continue that. I've attended meetings now via Zoom that I wasn't able to make in person because I could do it at home, I could listen and whatnot. So I'm hoping there's a third option. You know, there's got to be a way that we can somehow use technology to maybe lower the cost and still keep it live and still keep it interactive. I hope we can come up with that. Maybe Dave has some ideas or whatever, but I think keeping this is good. I think it's worth the cost of doing it, but we certainly need to look at how we can control it and manage it better. But I think keeping it interactive is something we should continue to do.
Did we ever do any kind of analysis of how many people were getting on Zoom versus what was walking into the meetings pre-pandemic? I mean, are we getting a significant increase of number watching it than we were people coming in?
That was the same question I had, Sean. I wonder how many people are logging in.
Well, I can tell you right now, there are 1, 2, 3, well, I'm one of them, and Dave's one of them, and then we're one of them.
Right. So there's three.
There's 3.
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4. I got 4 people watching, or 5 live on Zoom. Now, if we go to YouTube, we might be able to see if anyone is watching on YouTube Live, which sometimes people.
YouTube, but they only got one.
We got one on
Which is
YouTube,
me.
which is Dave. So, okay. So we're. I guess we're not the Super Bowl. We're not the best at ratings here.
Nielsen ratings are.
But I do know a lot of people do go back and stream the meetings. They do watch them on YouTube. Personally, I feel that YouTube Live is important. You know, this is what I asked Dave about. If we could do a hybrid where we have a YouTube Live, but we don't have the Zoom component, would that be a cheaper option? And then maybe use Zoom when we have speakers and when we have you know, a need for it. You know, we still want to have that option, but I don't know, Dave. There really wasn't a way to do it, right?
Well, the bottom line is there's a lot of technology here, okay? And as far as in respect to what we have here, Morgan is basically responsible for the cameras. We've got robotic cameras, okay? Okay, she's responsible for the sound levels, okay, that are going out to Zoom and to YouTube, okay? All right, Annette is basically the commander here as far as you know, making sure the stream keys are going out, okay, making sure the audio on that stream is okay, as far as that goes, but also from a standpoint of the need that doesn't come with YouTube that comes with Zoom is just, you know, when Rick came in with slides, okay, that you can't do that, okay, without Zoom, okay, as far as that goes. And we've done, you know, a lot of times you get into a situation, we've got planning and zoning meetings where you have engineers that come in, they want to show drawings, okay, we share their screen, okay, that's, you gotta have somebody on that all the time. You know,
Dave, is there any other platform like Teams or anything that may be less expensive than Zoom?
Teams and Zoom are the same thing, it's for the Chevrolet.
But I mean, cost-wise, it's all.
Now, I mean, you still need, you know,
No, I understand. I'm just trying to, if we could save a little money with a platform versus another platform that still provides the same end result.
you still require the same labor,
Yeah.
you know, as far as that goes.
So the labor is basically the
Yeah.
majority of the cost, the platform's the platform.
Yeah.
and
You know, I think from that standpoint, I mean, we've got $20,000 worth of technology here, between robotic cameras, between, you know, TV screens, okay, making sure those are synced, okay, the audio levels, okay, that are coming in. Morgan is looking at 4 screens of all the cameras, so we can cut the cameras and go from there. That, you know, that happens manually, you know, as far as that goes, so. I mean, Ryan asked me if we could just do YouTube. Yeah, but it's still gonna need the same amount of, you know, plus when you get into the functionality of doing presentations and people bring in stuff that they wanna show, and so forth, we have to be here to load it, we have to be here to, you know, change the, share screens and all of that. You know, regardless of whether it's on Teams or whether it's on Zoom.
We don't have to change anything.
No,
I'm just
just trying to get as much information as I can, because
Yeah.
if you look at these numbers,
Mhm.
you go over, you know, a 12-month period, they add up.
That's what I was gonna ask, do we have an idea, like, for the first 6 months of this year, what did we pay versus what we would have paid if we weren't on Zoom? Because the longer the meeting is, I mean, you're talking a 3-hour meeting is $250 more.
Well, and we had, last week, we had a 5-hour planning and zoning break,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, and we don't have to have, I mean, planning and zoning can maybe go back to just in person. I do think the Board of Selectmen, we definitely need to have that, you know,
How many
component.
how many boards still use Zoom?
Right now, planning and zoning, zoning board of appeals, and
Wetlands.
inland wetlands? Inland wetlands?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, they just
No.
met. They
They
just
just-
met.
I thought some.
They met in the library.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I know EDC meets in person,
Board of Ed?
Board of Ed still, but they're separate. You know, they
It's
can
their
make their
own
own
budget.
decisions, you know, as far as that goes. But, you know, Parks and Rec meets in person, Youth Services meets in person. You know, really, the big ones are Board of Selectmen, Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd say those are, you know, the 3 biggies that we, you know, have a say in.
You know, the big savings would be just cutting the agenda down.
Amen.
Have you tried talking faster?
Or asking less questions.
For zoning Board of Appeals, how many people are online?
I don't know.
It depends on the topic.
Yeah.
Right, right.
You know, the topic. You know, the planning and zoning meeting that we had last week, I mean, it was with a lot of.
Because it was Elmcrest
with Brainerd.
Brainerd
Place
Place,
and so
yeah.
forth. It was on, okay. We had, well, you saw how many people we had in the room.
Right.
We had probably about 25 people on Zoom, you know, as far as that goes. Zoom is interactive, you know. YouTube, as far as that goes, that's, you know, that's watching the TV.
What we're experiencing here is what businesses all around the country are experiencing as an end result of COVID. People are remote working, and it's a new cost that you haven't had to deal with before. But you still want to try to find a way to moderate that cost if possible.
But as we're going back to normalcy, try to reel in the expenses and,
Yeah.
you know, bring us back to what we used to be.
The unfortunate thing is, well, you see it in the world everywhere, it's that nobody wants to go back to the normalcy. You know, they all want remote.
I guess my problem with this is people are viewing, but they're not commenting. So you can watch YouTube the next day and view it. And if you're really passionate about the subject, you know, you might have to show up and voice it. Because very rarely do we have public comment.
If we do, the person sitting there.
Right.
Right, and they're here most of the time, and it's never, so I'm saying, so really you're just viewing. Why can't you just view YouTube the next day, or whatever, the post, or the video the next day of the
I
meeting?
think what Dave's saying though is, right now, we would still need all the components just to do YouTube. That was my thought. If we drop Zoom, maybe there would be some savings, but Dave says
Well,
You're not
what-
gonna find it.
Wasn't there, like, when I first started, though, it was just at the back of the library, it was one person on a video camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was VCR, that was not live, that was putting it on a tape. I had to take that tape back to the town hall.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, we don't go live, we just, we video it, and then we load it up on YouTube the next day.
Right.
Not video, or VCR, digitally, whatever you want to
But
do.
you have to,
But one person back there just videoing it.
yeah, we just, went moving the camera, that's all.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying, go back to that, and then,
Well, I remember when it was that way, and if I'd watch it the next day, and if I had questions, I'd either email Susan or call her, and then I would go to the next meeting if I had a comment. I mean, I understand we're in a different place now, but, you know, it doesn't take long for $100 to hit 1,000, 1,000 to hit 2. But that's just my opinion.
Well, especially you're talking 3 boards.
Mm.
This isn't just one board.
And I would assume, having to use this facility in order to Zoom things, we're losing a lot of flexibility we had, where we used to have meetings in the library and everywhere else.
Actually, it's the opposite, I think, as far as flexibility goes, because when we use the Mary Flood Room, oftentimes we would be up against another committee or group that wanted to use that room. Whereas here, you know, we control, the Board of Selectmen controls, you know, the activities in this room. So if we need a special meeting, we don't have to worry that another group is in here. We can hold that meeting. So that was one of the advices that Susan Bransfield had given me, was don't give up this room. So I haven't because of that.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge we have is that obviously it's kind of driven off of agenda. You know, because I can tell you, obviously, when we went through our adventure with the dog issue, we had 30 people every meeting.
Every night with the same.
Every meeting they were with us.
The
So,
same speech.
so I mean, it really is driven off of, you know, what you have on the agenda. And when they're hot issues, you're gonna have people. But if they're not, obviously, we see what we have today.
Right.
So, like, it was, the comment was made, most of the people that comment come into the room and comment. They don't comment online. And if it's that important, like the dog issue was, or some other issue, they're gonna find a way to come in or submit a letter to Ryan to be read into record.
Ryan, Elwin would like to be here.
Well, yeah, we'll talk under public comment, though. This is the Board of Selectmen.
And really, for comments, the only ones I can remember are when John wasn't here and when Mike wasn't here, it was them, you know, joining the discussion of it.
Well, yeah.
We really don't have much public comment online.
So we could, I think what's important, though, is I think that this board should reserve no matter what we do, we should never get rid of that Zoom option, because you never know when we might need it for a selectman who's absent, or also a special guest. You know, we had someone from the Farm Bureau, remember, who was able to speak with us, that might not make this in person. And we can, you know, Zoom allows us that ability to bring in people that otherwise might not be able to come in. So, you know, we could do just a YouTube live regularly and Zoom for special guests as needed. But I don't know, if we're going to be here, if we need all the components already, we might as well just do Zoom as well. So I don't really think we should change anything tonight. I think this is more something to think about. I wanted to get you the costs, you know, because several selectmen had asked me for them. And, you know, we can put this up under follow-up items at a future meeting. Does that sound
Yeah,
good?
that's fine. I think it's just,
Okay.
that sounds good. Just gets it out there so we have something to look at, and like everything else that adds up costs that we're trying to control.
That was gonna be like, if we bring this up at the next meeting as a follow-up, even if it's, somebody can't find out in the next 2 weeks, but could we find out the difference of what the first 6 months of the year cost us? Because we know what we paid. Can we find out what we would have saved if we weren't doing?
If we didn't have Zoom?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could, you know, I guess we could look at that. You know, we'd have to go through each meeting and take a look at that. It's- Yeah, it would be very extensive. It would be a. Yeah. Yep. So you have your record clerk gets allocated to a record clerk line. You have your recorders who, get allocated to a separate line. Technology's allocated to a separate line. So you have to look at all these different, parts and then.
What do we pay for Zoom for a meeting?
The Zoom is a yearly license.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so we basically have two, what we call site license. We have Zoom A and Zoom B. Okay, those are $150 a year. Okay, so that's a fixed cost.
Yep.
No matter we use it once, we use it, whatever. But that's
So on this paper then, what's the difference between like a 3-hour meeting?
It's
Okay.
the labor.
So I can, so with Zoom, we have 3 employees.
Yeah.
As well as a record clerk, as a recording clerk. And without was a recording secretary and 1 employee. That was the way it was previously.
That's
Pre-pandemic,
yeah.
pre-COVID,
That's when
exactly.
we were over to the library.
Exactly. So that's the difference. I
So
mean,
then it's roughly $80 an hour is the difference. Because it's 80, 160, and 250.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, 181.
Yeah, about that.
Sorry, 80, 180, and 250.
Yeah, let's see, 160.
81, 160, yeah.
50. Yeah, 81.
But we have,
So if it's $80 an hour, all you have to do is know how long the meeting was.
Times all the meetings you use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a rough idea with the first 6 months, what we would have saved.
Mhm.
So say we paid 5,000, and we find out we would have paid 3,200 if we didn't have it.
Well, we kind of know that's probably 2 hours an average meeting.
Yeah, I'd say
Right,
2 hours an average.
Plus,
meeting.
plus or minus.
Yeah.
So it's
ballpark.
$320 a month just for this board.
Yeah, I mean, it's a service to the town. You have to think of it like that. Is the service, is it worth the benefit to the residents, or is it not? I mean, that's really the question.
I think if we had interaction, it would be worth it.
Yeah.
But if they're just getting online to watch it and hear and be informed, like Sean said, then they can watch it later tonight or tomorrow on YouTube.
whenever he downloads it the next
You know,
day, like they used to.
Dave isn't telling us repeatedly with each topic, hey, you have 2 comments, you have 3 people waiting to comment.
Mhm.
Nobody comments.
Well, we do have 1 comment for public comment,
But I mean, just to look at the other side of this, when we were at the library, you could have 25 people sitting in the audience and maybe 1 of those 25 would speak.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is just another avenue for people to watch it. And the only thing that I'm fearful of is if we do spike up again this fall or winter, what would we have to rebuild this whole process again if we went away with it?
Good point.
Well, then if everything's here and Dave said we already have the licenses for the year, all you're gonna have to do is find the employees to run.
Well, then you're gonna just leave this room set up and unusable for anything else if it's like this, you know? I don't know,
Well, no, the boards that use it now, they use it now.
all I'm saying is we're going through right now the same discussion that every corporation, from Aetna to Travelers to Pratt & Whitney, is going through because everybody's remote working. And they still own the buildings right now at least, and they're still paying the freight on the buildings, but now they have to pay for all this extra technology to accommodate that.
But
And that's
that's
kind of where we are.
Because a lot of those companies are downsizing the buildings. They're eliminating floors and they're going strictly to this. So we're in a totally different situation to compare us to Travelers or Aetna.
I don't think so. I think we're in the same boat.
Because we're not working from home. We're trying to put this out to the people.
No,
Travelers
we're
and Aetna
here,
is
we're
pushing
working here, but
right.
we're trying to provide the people the access
Right.
from home. So it is the same.
Right.
You know,
But
you're providing-
You're using they're saving money by having people work at home.
But we're providing a service to our
So
community.
that I
So,
understand, but
I mean,
the analogy I didn't like.
I guess the question I'm coming down to is whether you got 350 people watching a meeting on Zoom or you have 2. Doesn't matter. Because those 2 people may be shut in, may not be able to get out, may have a health condition that keeps them
I
home.
agree, that's why I think keeping the YouTube is 100%, that's a no-brainer. But it's paying for giving people the chance to comment, and there's no comments. Like, we're paying a premium for interaction, but there's no interaction.
But if I understand, the YouTube would still have, we'd have the same cost, because we still need the folks to do the YouTube, right?
But
Yeah.
if we went to pre-pandemic, like you said, with recording it
Mhm.
and him downloading it the next day, we
Correct.
don't need as many employees, correct?
Well, no,
No.
you're only gonna have
But
one
I,
camera.
but I will say, I don't think, I wouldn't advise that. I really would not advise that. It is,
I'm
we
not
can't
advising
go
that.
back to VHS.
No, I'm not, we're just talking about
Yeah, but-
every avenue of why we keep this or why we don't, and we're discussing every option.
Yeah.
I don't advise going back to VHS either.
Well, the thing too, as far
I'm
as
just
in
trying to
relation
clarify
to
what he said.
YouTube, you know, we also have an analytics screen here that we're looking at, okay? Concur, now we're down to 3 users, we're up to 8 users, okay? Our views are right now up to 29. The average view time is 4 minutes and 19 seconds. So we have access to a lot of analytics. So.
All right, so I guess we just discuss this at a further time.
Okay. I think that's a good, I don't think we should make any decisions or anything tonight, but I just wanted to, the goal of this was to present you with, you know, costs and, you know, that's what was asked for, so, I do feel personally that, this is a service that is worthy for the town, but, I would like to figure out a way to make it more economical at the same time. That's really where my thoughts are on it.
Maybe one other suggestion also, and we've been talking among ourselves here, I wonder what the townspeople would think.
Mm.
Yeah, they're public comments.
We should have seen that coming. But if they know it's going away, or they know that that's something we're talking about, that may be worth seeing.
Yeah, this isn't about trying to stifle anyone's
No,
speech or anything.
no.
It's only about,
It's about money, that's all it is.
and it's
And we're
about
having a
us,
discussion.
it's about us wanting a bigger audience in person.
Basically, it's, I do my hair for nothing, you know?
All right, so why don't we, I think we've exhausted this
Yes.
topic.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll move on to appointments to boards and commissions. Any appointments? Any appointments?
Not to,
All right. Move on to refunds of excess payments. Bobby?
Make a motion for a refund of excess payments for Alyssa J. Brunk, $733.10.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payments for Rose Marie Lipinski, $34.38.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payments, Rose Marie Lipinski, $35.02.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payments, Linda L. Barron, $38.80.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refunds of excess payments, Clifford F. Barrett Jr., $31.60.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Gary J. Jarzabek, $35.88.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion refund of excess payment, Susan B. Barksdale and Maurice C. Barksdale, $30.98.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Thomas P. Stoto and Belinda M. Stoto, $127.62.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Sebastian J. Rufino Jr., $94.14.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Refund of excess payment, Donald K. Wick, $2.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, move on to status, committee reports, status reports. I just, real quick, I do want to, a couple things. Today, I went to a ribbon cutting at the new marina for St. Clements. I just wanted to say it was really nice. It's technically the marina is in East Hampton, but their address, I guess, is in Portland. I said, we'll gladly take them if they want to move the town lines. So that was really nice. And on this Friday, we have a really exciting event in town. I know all the selectmen are invited to Burn on Friday at 11. I believe it's their grand opening. The governor's going to be there. The lieutenant governor's going to be there. I think Senator Blumenthal, Congressman Larson. So it's going to be, pretty cool for Portland. This is a wonderful company that is doing some great work, and we're excited to have them in the town of Portland. So really looking forward to that and hoping to see the selectmen there. And I think that's all I have. Ralph, you want to?
Yeah, actually, the only thing I have today is that I know that yesterday there was a joint meeting or a potential joint meeting between Park and Rec, Youth Services, and Economic Development to talk about the Halloween event and whatever our winter events would be, most like, with the tree lighting. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that meeting, so certainly once I hear more details, I will get back to everyone with what came out of that meeting.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Any other status reports? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Anyone in the audience? See none?
Elwin would like to speak.
All right, can we put Elwin up on the screen? Can you hear us, Elwin? Well, hold on, we can't hear you yet.
You're on mute.
All right, Elwin, can you talk? Oh, hold on.
Connection issue.
His bandwidth is too low at home. I'm getting it.
On the P and Z, he had a lot of trouble too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Yeah, just tell him. We're getting a low signal on his band.
Elwin, it says your bandwidth is low. Let's try it now. We just need the sound up. If we can, is there?
Can you turn the sound up anyway?
That's on his end. We got.
Elwin, is your sound up all the way?
Oh, there you go, a little better.
We're hearing a little better.
Sounds up all the way.
There you go. We got you.
All right, I don't know what that was all about. But it turns out that it's relevant. I wanted to engage this Zoom discussion that you just completed. Some very, I think, you're going to think of me being a bit strident here, but, and forgive me a little bit, there was a bunch of laughter here when we talked about wanting a bigger audience for the selectmen's meeting and the quality of the agenda and so forth. But you know what, damn it, it is all about the quality of the meeting. And it's, at a time, I defy any of us to not be fully aware of how today, how important, how critically important it is for transparency. And there's no better way to have transparency than an interactive capacity to have your citizens engaged in the process. So I am 100% insisting that we maintain full Zoom capability, not just for the selectmen's meeting, but I think for any of the elected boards or commissions. And as far as planning and zoning commission, absolutely for planning and zoning. It is the single most significant agency in town government. That absolutely has to be. And I say that because I've been participating on those, using Zoom in these forums, well, certainly since the pandemic. And my experience has been an allowance, as I have right now with you, to engage and share my views, and also leave tonight with the benefit of Rick Shar's wonderful presentation that was so fully developed. None of this would happen without Zoom. And I might be the only person tonight that happens to be doing it. But as a person who's always on, I know quite often every 18, 19, 25, 30, you're not always aware. You can't necessarily even see what the projections are. But those are technology elements that are going to continue to improve. This is the 21st century, for crying out loud. It's only going to become more and more and more critically essential that we have this capacity to engage citizens in every level of our governance. It isn't going to get any simpler. So, you know what? You ought to be embarrassed to think about you saving some money maybe by doing this, that, or whatever. So you need to be looking at ways you can invest, that means spend some money, invest in, first and foremost, for God's sakes, give Dave Kuczynski some Conveyance Tax support. He's all alone out there on a high wire. It's ridiculous. Secondly, buy some lapel microphones so that when you are in Zoom, or even if you're just in the hall, the people that are witnessing your meeting will be able to hear you. Right now, you turn to each other as you speak. It's only natural to do that. But you turn away from the microphone, and people in the room, as well as those of us out here in Zoom land, haven't got a clue what you said. You get a simple lapel mic, and that will eliminate that need. Let's get into the 21st century, big time. You want to expand the ability of people to engage with you. That's what it's all about. With you, to get to where we, not you, not me, we need to go. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elwin.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thanks, Ellen.
Ryan, can I just add to that?
Yeah, Sharon, go ahead. Sharon.
I think that's a wonderful idea to have the lapel mics, because you guys have a tendency to lean back.
It's because of the chairs.
The microphones are way up here, and then you look at one another and you talk to each other, and then the air conditioner, whatever that big noise is, comes on, and even as a recording clerk, I can't hear half the time.
That's a great idea.
Thank you, Sharon. I do like that idea.
Ryan, these mics, they're 20 years old.
Really?
Yes.
And I'm a lot older than that.
They're 20 years old. There's a lot better technology out there. You know, but again.
Maybe we'll get enough for Tom to get a lapel mic too, right?
He doesn't think that's funny.
He's not happy.
All right, so thank you. I think that's no more public discussion. We'll move on to Board of Selectmen general and formal discussion.
I have one.
I'm first.
Okay, you go first.
Dave, what would it cost to put a better microphone system in here? Because I've seen it when I've been watching
sure.
planning and zoning meetings.
Sennheiser has a meeting set up, okay? They're not lapel microphones, but they're,
Yeah.
you see them at Congress and so forth, that go through, that have clipping and, you know, lights are on and you can turn the mics on, turn the mics off. You know, you're looking at about $5,000, you know.
Per? Or for
No,
the whole?
for a system.
So I do want to say on that, you know, we do have, you know, still some American Rescue Funds. You know, one of my thoughts was if we are going to be permanently in this room, if we are, you know, maybe look at, you know, something like that, or look at different ways that we could improve the technology that we are using and make sure that people can hear us. 'Cause we do want people that watch and listen and participate. We do want that, so.
And I can get you a firmer price, you know, as far as that goes. But I'm just.
That's why I'm asking, I mean, you're gonna be the one handling it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You're the expert on,
Yeah.
you know, what we need and what we don't need.
Yeah, like I say, these mics are 20 years old. We had these at the Mary Flood Room years and years ago. These are $50 microphones. You know, they're not, you know.
We've gotten our money's worth out of it.
Yes.
I got, yeah. When Rick was up there, just something, I thought about something we talked about before. Mike had brought up with Ralph about those old bleachers that were at Tomaso. Did anybody ever look into them, if they could use them at the new park? And
Yes.
if so, they did, or?
Yeah, any bleachers, I think Nate had conversations, they did talk about them.
We went down, I saw them. They were not
They
in good
weren't
shape.
as good
They're
shape.
beat.
Okay.
They had been weathered. No, they weren't bleachers that you would want to put at our new Premier Park,
Okay.
so. But, yeah. Any other questions?
Do we know, I mean, I know the Public Works Director just started.
Mhm.
Do we plan on him coming in sometime? So
Yeah, well, if you remember, we do have a special meeting, a special joint meeting with the Water and Sewer Commission this coming Monday.
Yep.
And that'll be right here, and so we're looking forward to that. There's gonna be a presentation on water meters. And so, what is it, seven PM, Dave, I believe?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
and so Ryan O'Halpin will be attending that, so I thought that would be a good chance for the selectmen to meet him, as well as the Water and Sewer Commission. So, you know, Ryan, he's been doing a really great job. I know Mike Lestrina is on as well. Mike, I just want to say thank you to Mike Lestrina, because during the time period when we didn't have a director, and even now, Mike has, you know, we would have been lost without Mike, and so I just, you know, really do want to express my thanks, because, you know, it is, any town is not an easy town to not have a public works director, and so, you know, because Mike stepped into a more administrative role, we were able to navigate that, and come out of that on the other side, and now Ryan's been, he's on his third week, and he's doing really well. And so, we're really excited to get moving with so many of these. And not that we stopped, but there's so many projects that we have in the pipeline that we want to get going on. So I did want to mention that, so thank you for bringing that up.
I had one other thing. It was when we were talking about Brownstone Avenue before. Are there any other town properties that are brownfields besides those on Brownstone Avenue?
It's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I can't think of anything on the top of my head. But without looking into it, you know, I can ask land use, but my guess is no.
Okay.
So, unless we buy some more at some point. I don't know. Maybe we bought those because the town's the only one that can get the grant to clean it up.
Yeah.
So, in that case, there are some grants that are available for private owners, but in this case, we were able and eligible to receive that grant. Anything else?
Just a question, and a comment, of course, I got get some of you to go a little longer. Airline Trail, do we have anything new on the connection with East Hampton? Last I think it was discussed, it was possibly in the fall, they would be either completing or starting the connection between us and them. And anything with Butler in terms of being able to go through their property. I know you talked to them a couple months ago. I'm not sure what's happened with that. Just figured-
So the East Hampton side is East Hampton. I don't have a specific update for you on that. I believe it was delayed. I believe something happened to not move that forward. I forget the details regarding that, but I don't think it's moving forward in that timeline that we originally had hoped for. We have made some progress with our expansion, or phase 2 of the Airline Trail. I've been working with Riz and Lou, and so Butler's been, great to work with, and we have 4 or 5 property owners. Technically, Butler is 2 properties, so you can count those as 2. But we also have the YMCA, Camp Ingersoll. We have Eversource, the 2 Butler properties, and then we have Dairy Queen. And the owners of Dairy Queen. And so the goal now is, I believe we have an end goal, and Butler has given us basically a roadmap of what they would approve for their property. And we're just trying to button up a couple things with some of the other owners, but we should be able to at least finalize that expansion plan soon, because there are grants that are available that we have to have those pieces in place in order to be able to apply for the grants that are available. And so I've reached out to Eversource, and Eversource is willing to work with us as well, but what they told me was, wait till you get all the other pieces in place, and then come back, and then Eversource will be the final piece, and then we can close that out. So yeah, it's taken longer than I would like. It's been a lot of back and forth with the property owners, figuring out what works best. You have to remember, we're asking for easements to their property. They don't owe us anything. They're doing the town of Portland a very generous favor by allowing us onto their property. So we have to, be cognizant of that, and thankfully we have some great, property owners in town, and they really want to help us. But they also want to make sure that they are able to use their properties in ways that they may need to in the future, and so they don't want to be impacted negatively for them. So that's kind of been trying to strike that balance is what's taking so long.
That's great. No, thank you. And then the last thing I want to say was the Elmcrest property over the last week or 2 has looked great. They've done a ton of work after the meeting. People in town have noticed. It's great to see. It's great to see.
Understand why Mr. Jarvis built that house facing that way. What a view. That's a beautiful place.
Beautiful.
It's amazing seeing the bridge from 66, and when you're coming over the bridge, just seeing the whole property.
No, the amazing thing too is you come over the bridge and you could see all the way to Perry. You never saw Perry houses because they were buried.
Right, yeah.
But now you see straight across, and you can see the Perry houses as clear as day.
And you didn't realize how high they were.
Yeah,
Not really up.
It's right up on a hill, yeah.
Yeah, now you begin to understand the importance of that project looking good, because that's going to be the first thing people see when they pull into town.
100%. What I found interesting too is there was a lot of people, past employees that used to work there, that are sharing stories about, I used to work there this long ago, this is a building I was in a lot, so people, it's bringing a lot of good memories back. It's been great to see.
It's cool. Yeah, thank you for, that's something that I know this board and the town has waited for a long time to see this progress come. And so we will, just so you know, and I did reach out to our town attorneys regarding the fixed assessment agreement. I sent them the agreement modified with the changes that planning and zoning approved. And I asked them, given these changes, do we need to redo the tax agreement? Do we need to amend the tax agreement? What needs to happen? And so our attorneys have advised that the best course of action would be to amend the tax agreement that we have in place already. And so what I would like to do is, I believe I still have to, I called Dan Bertram today. I need to have a conversation with him about this, but really, I think that this board will have to meet in executive session with our attorney and just discuss what our options are, and certainly we want to see this project move forward, but we also want to make sure that, that we have the best interests of the taxpayers of Portland as well. So stay tuned for that. Anything else?
Are they up to date on everything, on their aspect, on their side of it?
They are up to date. They did file the building permit for Building D. That's the building that may or may not become a Starbucks, depending on which Board of Selectmen member you ask. But they did file the building permit for that, which puts them in compliance. And so the next item they have, I believe, it's at the end of this month, and I don't want to give the wrong building, but the next one, I want to say Hart Jarvis, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. But it's September 30th is their next deadline.
So they have two.
And then they'll have,
permits.
then they,
They have the first residential.
correct.
And the possible coffee house.
The possible.
Possible building.
All right. Any other comments? All right. I've got nothing on follow-up items, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Sean, thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Recording stops.
I thought we were going to be quicker tonight, and then we ended up.
Yeah, I know, I thought this was gonna.